do I feel like my hair always looks really great on one side and then this side, like, what is this? Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be filming my March wrap-up video. So I read quite a few books in March, however it wasn't my best reading month as far as consistency, but with that being said, I did manage to read 10 books in March, which is pretty good. Like, I'm not complaining in any way, but I just know that for me I could have definitely done better. 2 of them I don't have right now. My cousin is actually borrowing them to read them. She comes over to my house a lot to go through my library and check out books. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the books that I read. Bless me. First up, we have Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This one was the book club pick for the Coffee Break Book Club, which is a book club that Sydney and I host over on Instagram. Well, we host it here on BookTube, but it's an Instagram page and there's a Discord. It's all free if you'd like to join a book club, and we pick 2 picks every single month. And this was the main pick for March, and I didn't give this one a rating because I only physically read this book up until page 121, and then I needed it read for the live show, which was literally the next day, and there was no way I was going to finish this chunker, so I ended up reading the chapter summaries so that I knew what I was talking about for the live show. Sydney was hosting this one, so I was just kind of going to be a part of it, and I just needed to know really what it was about, and I did. So I know what it's about, and I feel like if I did read it all the way through, it would have been like a 4.5 star book. It was really great. From the portion that I did read, I loved the writing. I thought the main character was really likable. I thought the book had great humor. I also felt like it was the perfect balance of like science and like light and fluffy. Like, it wasn't super dense like some sci-fis could be, and I enjoyed it in that way. But because I didn't physically read the whole thing, I don't want to rate it, even though I think I would give it a really great rating. I just feel like that's not fair. Next up, I have Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I really enjoyed this one. This is a new all-time favorite of mine. I loved the characters, I loved the plot, I loved everything about this book, and it even made me cry. And this is, I think, the first book that has ever made me actually cry, and for that reason, it got 5 stars. You know, that's the only thing that makes sense. I read this in my Reading Coho Books vlog. If you would like to watch that video, I will have it linked down below. It was a really fun time, so I read this one and gave this one 5 stars. I also read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I also gave that one 5 stars. I loved that one. I felt like I was on my toes the whole time, and it wasn't necessarily like this drastic thing. I tend to give 5-star ratings to books that so much was happening that it was just so entertaining, and obviously it was entertaining, but it wasn't like necessarily anything crazy was happening. Something about it I just loved. And I also read Verity by Colleen Hoover, and this one was obviously a well-deserved 5 stars. I didn't know that there was like a controversial ending for this book. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, basically if you read the book, you get to a point at the very end of the book where something comes up that changes your entire perspective of the whole book, and you have to rethink what is true and what is not, and you have to pick a lane, and there's a lot of controversy over it, because so many people have different opinions on how it actually went down. Because that was done so well, obviously it deserved 5 stars, but it also was difficult for me to read at some points because it's from the perspective of a mother, and I don't know, there would be things that like she would think or like want to act on as far as like regarding her children, and it was just like disgusting. Honestly, it made me sick to my stomach sometimes, which is what it was supposed to do. And because Colleen Hoover was able to bring that kind of emotion out of me for the book, I just think she did it well enough to get 5 stars. Colleen Hoover is a new favorite author, you guys, if that was not already clear. Next up, I read The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. I really liked this one as well. I gave this one 4 stars. I loved Truly Devious before this one. This is the 2nd book in a series. I really liked this one. I actually ended up reading it like halfway through, and then I was confused at the halfway point mark, so I went back and restarted it, and it was not the book's fault, it was mine. I just wasn't paying attention. But I had a really great time with this. I love the characters, I love what's going on. I don't know what else to really say about this book. Next up, I read The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So I did a was it a 24-hour readathon? I think it was a 24-hour readathon, and I read, this is one of the books that I read in that readathon. Started it a while back, and then like a month or two later picked it back up again to finish it for that readathon, and I really loved it. It definitely has the Knives Out vibes like everybody talks about. I love the secrecy vibes of the whole book, the secret passages, the puzzles, riddles, all of that. I really love that in a book. It just keeps me very interested and entertained, and I was definitely feeling that in this book. I think I rated this one 4 stars. Pretty sure that was my rating, but I'm pretty sure. And next up, I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I did like this one. I liked the short chapters. The only thing I will say is it is a little bit cheesy, but it was written in 2014, so you can only get so much, I feel like. But it was really good. I liked the characters. Yeah, I just thought it was a really fun, entertaining, kind of thrilling little time. I always have the hardest times doing wrap-ups because I never know like what to say about the book except that like I had a great time. I feel like that's all you need to know. Next up, I read Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron, which I didn't love. I think I gave this one, originally in my video, I gave it 3 stars, but I think I'm gonna knock it down to like 2. This one is very political, and I don't have a problem with political books. Like, that's not the problem. The problem is I felt like there were so many different themes and ideas as far as politics go that the author wanted to get across, that I feel like she had so many different lanes that none of them were done well because she was after too many of them. I feel like if she just chose 2 or 3 to kind of emphasize her beliefs on and speak up in that way, it would have been great. But because there were literally 14 of them, I was very like caught off guard, and I also feel like none of them were done well because there were so many. You know, the idea of like quality over quantity. Yeah, we had quantity over quality here. And next up we have The Collective by Allison Galen. I did enjoy this one as well. I think originally in my video where I read books for a week, I think I originally gave this 5 stars. But for the live show, Sydney and I were discussing it, and as I was discussing it with Sydney and even people in the chat, the more I talked about it, the more I realized it wasn't a 5 star. I think it was the mood that I was in. I had just come out of a reading slump, and this was the first thing that I picked up. And I think that definitely swayed my rating for this book, because the more I talked about it, the more I realized there were things about this book that I didn't like and I was a little bit confused by. But it took a while for me to recognize that. So I did bump this down to 3 stars actually. It wasn't bad. Like, it was not bad in any way. It was just very stereotypical, I feel like, for a thriller. In a lot of ways, I wasn't super attached to the character. I didn't necessarily like her all that much. I feel like the character did some things that were out of character for her, which I feel like is a lot to say, because we also didn't get any character development of any kind. And that kind of brought the book down a little bit for me, but you might like this. I don't know. Okay, and then lastly, I read Final Girls by Riley Sager. This was a 5-star book. If you know me, you know that I love Riley Sager. He's one of my faves, and I had a really great time with this book. I thought the twist at the end was great. I really liked the characters. It definitely has that classic horror slasher vibe to me, because that's, I mean, it's about 3 final girls that survived these traumatic events, and it kind of feels a little bit like a classic slasher movie, and I kind of like those. So I don't know, I had a great time with it. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but for me it was the best. Yeah, so those are all of the books that I read in March. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that maybe you got some insight or some thoughts on some of the books that I read. Maybe one of my ratings is persuading you to read one of the books. I would love to know which one. And also let me know if there's any of these that you have read. I would love to chat about it in the comments, or if you want to read any of these books, and I would be happy to chat about it in the comments as always. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you very soon.